some more questions. Thanks. I began a check of every possible place Thompson might have stayed that night, but I drew one blank after another. Then I got a lead at a motel on the outskirts of Bannon.
Sure, Ranger. I remember that night. Sleet was an inch thick. We was full up here, but I sent him to a place down the highway, the Star Motel. Been closed and up for sale for quite a spell, but I heard it was opened up again.
I went to the Star Motel. It was closed tight. Every cabin was locked, the windows boarded. There wasn't a soul around. I was just about to leave when I noticed something. The electricity must have been on somewhere in the place because the little wheel under the dials of the meter was spinning. It was enough to send me back into town to ask a few more questions.
Now, let me see, Ranger. Star Motels. Yes, sir. Here's what we want right here.
Uh-huh. Are these all the electricity bills?
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Up to 3 months ago, the bills were just for meter installation, minimum service charge.
That's right, Ranger.
But for the last 3 months, $475, $389, $560. Kind of funny, isn't it? The place is closed, but for the last 3 months, the bills have averaged over $4 a month. Didn't that seem peculiar to you?
Well, Ranger, we just...
Sure, I know. Now, can you give me the name of the person to whom these bills were sent?
Get it for you right away.
Why, yes, Ranger, Mr. Carlson's here. I believe he's on the phone right now, but if you come in...
Thank you, ma'am. You Mrs. Carlson?
Yes.
I hope I'm not bothering you any, Miss Carlson.
Not at all, Ranger. My husband's here.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I see. Well, I think that could be arranged. Yeah, sure. Tell you what, I'll come out a little later. I'll bring the client with me. Sure. Thanks for calling. Goodbye.
And this is Ranger Pearson.
Oh, hello.
Sorry to barge in like this, Mr. Carlson, but I got a few questions.
Questions? Sure, what about?
You own the Star Motel, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Star Motel. Oh, that white elephant.
White elephant?
Yeah, I've been trying to get rid of it for 2 years.
Why?
Well, like Bessie said, it ain't been worth a hoot since the new highway went in 2 years ago. Only half the traffic that used to pass it.
It hasn't been used for 2 years?
Well, I guess I didn't mean exactly that.
What did you mean?
I tried to keep it going for a year after the highway went through, but couldn't rent enough rooms. Wasn't worth trying to save.
You got the keys to it?
Keys? Oh, sure.
Is something wrong, Ranger?
Might be, ma'am. Can you take me through the motel, Mr. Carlson?
Anytime. Right now, suit you?
Couldn't be better. Let's go.
I ain't been out here for close on 3 or 4 weeks.
Did you go through the cabins then?
Oh, just take a look. See, kids sometimes fool around. That's why I boarded up the windows. Want to take a look in the office?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Carlson.
Sure. Nothing in here, Ranger.
Nope, there's not.
Anything in particular you're looking for?
Yeah. You have this floor washed lately?
Oh, heck no. Ain't no use paying for something like that.
It's been washed recently.
Huh? But why? How do you know?
Scrubbing wood with hot water always raises the grain, and hot water isn't as good as cold to wash out blood stains.
Blood? Blood?
Reach! Hold it!
What's the matter
Hands
with
away
you?
from the guns, Ranger. Hold you. Sit down. Go on. Come on.
What the devil is this? Who are you fellas?
My guess is a couple of men I want for murder, Mr. Carlson.
Murder?
Just check the telephone wire. Everything okay?
Yeah, push that guy.
Me? Why, I never carry a gun.
Well, we'll just make sure. Yeah, he's clean.
All right, now strip the Ranger's gun belt.
Wait a minute. You got the drop on me, maybe I'd have to be a fool to draw. But if you don't want me to be a fool, don't touch these guns. You try and take them off me, and I'll go down using them, and I might get lucky.
All right, Locke. Let him alone. He's too smart to start anything. Go get the panel truck out and start loading our stuff fast.
Well, what about them?
We can lock them in. Fix their car so they can't get out of here for a while after we leave. If they try to come out while we're still here, we'll blast whatever door or window they try to come through. Get that, Ranger?
I get it.
Okay. I'll be outside, Chuck.
So your name's Chuck, huh?
Good as any.
What are you and that other fella doing in my place?
Go ahead, Chuck. Tell him.
Some other time, friend. Now you two listen. Because I ain't going to say this twice. Try to bust out before you hear us drive off and you'll get it good. Now stay put.
They got us locked in.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go near that window. You heard what he said.
Little crack in the boarding. I'm just taking a look.
What are they doing?
Come here and take a look for yourself.
Oh, I should have watched the place more. I never knew anyone was using it.
Been used plenty. Look what they're taking out.
Furs. All kinds of stuff.
It's beginning to make sense. Closed down motel made a nice storage bin for stolen unsmuggled goods till they could run it to the markets.
Oh, they'll get away. You said there was a murder.
Take it easy, Mr. Carlson. We'll get them.
Oh, they'll be across the border in a half an hour before we could even reach a phone. Maybe you better take a chance
And get shot down in cold blood? No. But we'll get them all right. Know why, Mr. Carlson?
Why?
Because you'll help. I pinned Carlson with a quick headlock and then got one arm up behind him and applied pressure so I could keep him still while I had a free hand. I reached into his jacket and found what I was looking for under his shoulder. Then I pushed him.
Oh, you crazy? You almost broke my arm.
Shut up, Carlson. Don't you think I saw this gun bulging under your coat? And they deliberately missed it when they frisked you? You played it real smart, almost.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This gun and the electric bills. You paid them. Paid bills that were being run up in a place that was supposed to be shut down. Seemed kind of funny you never complained to the power company.
So what? Well,
So you got a phone call from your friends out there. They tipped you because they saw me nosing around here earlier, right?
No.
Okay. Okay, take a look out there. They're almost finished. In a couple of minutes, they'll be gone. In half an hour, they'll be over the border. How about you? You want to stick back here and face a murder charge?
There's nothing you can prove.
There's plenty we can prove, Carlson. And you're holding the bag. You'll have a tough time explaining those electric bills and them missing your gun.
I didn't kill that man.
Did this Chuck do it?
Yeah, that salesman come in. He saw what was going on. Chuck killed him, then drove him away.
All right. Now listen real careful to me. I'm going to fire this gun of yours. Then you hammer on the door and holler for them. Get it?
What do you want to
Just
do then?
listen. When they come up, tell them you had to kill me. Tell them to open the door. Then, Mr. Carlson, step back and out of the way fast. They'll be gone in a minute. Make up your mind.
All right. Go ahead, I'll do it.
Any funny tricks and you get it first. Now, ready? Open that door and holler.
Chuck, Lark, give me a fast. Open the door.
Now, when it's open, step back.
What's the matter? Carlson, open the door. I had to kill him. He was making a break for it.
You just knocked him out.
Reach! Both of them. Hey, what's the big idea?
Why, you...
We'll come back for him later, Carlson. Meantime, let's you and me get back to town. I got you a deal for this White Elephant Motel. You can trade it for a jail cell.
And now, here is the Wheaties man, Frank Martin.
All right, sound effects man, ring the alarm clock. Yeah, I used to groan too when I heard that sound. But one morning I said to myself, now look, Martin, you gotta get up. Why fight it? Think about something pleasant. And right away I thought, Wheaties. That's about the pleasantest thinking a man can do. Why, when you figure you can sit down to a bowl of good, crisp Wheaties and then feel like tackling the world, when you know a bowl of Wheaties and milk and fruit can help you work good because you feel good, Why, it almost makes you want to shake hands with your alarm clock. And when you hear it come morning, roll out happy, reach for the big orange and blue box, and see how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
Next week, Joel McRae in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McRae will soon be seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Saddle Tramp. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Paul McVeigh, Lou Krugman, Jeff Corey, Robert Bruce, Byron Kane, and Jeanette Nolan. This story was transcribed and adapted by Russell Hughes. The program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. And this is Hal Gibney speaking.
And this is the Wheaties man, Frank Martin, inviting you to listen Monday night to Frank Lovejoy in Night Beat on the Wheaties Big Parade. See you then.
Listen tomorrow for the Summer Symphony. Now it's Basin Street time on NBC.
Librarians tend to die. Often. Sometimes even more than once. Lynn survived 10 years. Longer than anyone. And most of it without a guardian. Alone. It's changed.
Magic is real. A building sent me an envelope. I had a job. I hunt terrorists. I took an oath to protect innocent people.
Be a guardian. Not now. You do the same job. But in a world with evils only you can face. There's only one ever guardian in the whole world, be fair, and the library thinks that it should be you. Do you mind? Trying to solve a murder here.
Well, you're doing a pretty poor job of it. Foyer upstairs. So you're saying this Dr. Jonas Shear, professor of archaeology, 5 PhDs, was killed on your doorstep and you don't have a single lead?
Well, I've got lots of leads. I've got a plethora of possibilities, a cornucopia of clues. I just don't see how they all connect. He was trying to show me this. He was killed. It has something to do with this crowd.
What painting is that?
I don't know. And that is what is vexing me. Like that. I haven't used that word in a while. Vex. Vexatious. Vex.
He was here. How did you know about your secret library?
Also vexing. It's one of the best kept secrets in the world. He's smart. He's very, very smart.
Is it possible you dropped one of your special glowing envelopes by mistake?
Now, Anacin, the tablet thousands of physicians and dentists recommend for fast relief of pain of headache, neuritis, neuralgia, and heat, the liniment that's strong yet does not burn, present Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks transcribed. But first, believe anything you like about what this or that way to relieve pain of headache, neuritis, or neuralgia will do for you. But there is one important fact you can't get away from, and that is thousands of users of Anacin have been introduced to this remarkable product through their own physicians or dentists. These people know how incredibly fast and effectively Anacin acts to relieve pain. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Next time you suffer from the pain of a headache, neuritis, or neuralgia, don't wait for relief. Try Anacin. You'll be delighted with these tablets' incredibly fast action. Try Anacin on this guarantee. If the first few Anacin tablets do not give you all the relief you want as fast as you want it, return the unused portion and your money will be refunded. All drug counters have Anacin in handy boxes of 12 and 30 tablets and economical family-size bottles of 50 and 100. I'll repeat the name for you, Anacin, A-N-A-C-I-N. Most female teachers at Madison High School think of Mr. Boynton, the bashful biologist, as an extremely handsome, virile, irresistible individual. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English there, can take him with a grain of salt.
In fact, I could take him with a whole spoonful. But why waste salt on a fellow who's too shy to toss in a little pepper now and then? Last Friday at breakfast, I foolishly provoked a discussion of the matter with my landlady.
Basically, I
Honestly,
can set
Mrs.
it
Davis,
up
he's more
to play a
attentive to
bunch
his
of different
animals.
stuff.
Why, yesterday he hardly noticed me because he took his dog to school for the day. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. What can a dog learn in one measly day?
Serves me right for mentioning it. May I have some toast, please?
Oh, here you are, dear. It's like I've always said. If dogs could learn things as quickly as cats, this would be a much better world to live in.
For whom?
No, I'm serious. Take our cat Minerva. For the past week, I've been teaching her mathematics, and she's become a whiz at it.
Mathematics?
Just you wait and see. Minerva! Tell me quickly now, how much is 2 and 2? Ah, that's a good girl. Well, I'll gather up the dishes now.
Just a minute. 2 and 2 equals meow?
Certainly. There are 4 letters in meow, aren't there? That's her way of telling me that the answer is 4. 2 meows equal 8. 3 meows equal 12, and so on. Oh, it's funny, though. She isn't so hot on the odd numbers.
Look, Mrs. Davis, I started this conversational maze with the simple statement that Mr. Boynton brought his dog to school yesterday.
Well, Connie, then it's simple.
What's simple?
You should do something to show Mr. Boynton how much you love animals.
Like what?
Well, why don't you take Minerva to school with you today?
Oh, let's not be ridiculous, Mrs. Davis. I couldn't possibly take Minerva to... Well, come to think of it, Mr. Boynton is extremely fond of cats. It might make a hit at that. Do you think she'd behave herself in my classroom?
Of course she would. She can stretch out on the seat cushion I ordered for your classroom.
Seat cushion?
You mentioned how trying it is, sitting on that hard chair all day. So I thought I'd surprise you.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Mrs. Davis.
Don't mention it. I mailed a letter last night telling the store where to send it, along with another note to the place where I ordered Victor's gift.
Your brother Victor?
Yes. He's every bit as fond of animals as Mr. Boynton is. That's why I bought one for him yesterday.
Oh, that's nice, Mrs. Davis. What did you get him?
A cow.
A cow?
Yes. It's a female.
Those are the best kinds. Why on earth would you buy...
Victor just moved into a little farmhouse on the edge of town, Connie. It's only a 15-minute drive from here. By and by, he'll be adding more livestock, of course. But right now, with just the one cow, I figured he'd have his hands full.
He will if he plays his cards right. Well, I'd better dash off to school, Mrs. Davis. I'll have to use all my powers of persuasion to get Mr. Conklin's permission to take Minerva into class with me.
All right, dear. Just put Minerva into this valise I bought for her at the pet shop. It's a cat carrier. You might leave the lid open for her, though.
Oh, that won't be necessary. There are holes in the side through which she can breathe. In you go, Minerva. Here, I'll give you a hand. Oh, that's what I like about Minerva. She's so polite. Whenever you help her out, she always says 4.
You may
be principal of this school, Osgood Conklin, but as long as I am head of the Board of Education, you will take orders from me. Is that clear?
Quite clear, Mr. Stone. Crystal clear. Couldn't be clearer. You are also...
Silence!
My lips are sealed.
Why, when I saw that dog running loose outside the biology lab yesterday, I was shocked beyond words. You know that animals aren't allowed on school property, Osgood. How did it get in here? Answer me.
Well, I haven't the slightest idea, sir.
Let's make certain that no dogs invade this school today. First, you will make an early inspection tour of all classrooms. Then I want you to post a guard at the front door throughout the day.
But, sir, why commission someone to do a job for which I myself am ideally suited? I'll keep a weather eye open, sir. You may be sure no animal will get past me. Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin. Oh, hello, Mr. Stone.
Good morning, Miss Brooks. Are you, going somewhere?
Going some... Oh, this valise. If I may ask your permission, Mr. Conklin.
Permission for what?
Well, you'll see as soon as I open the bag. It'll just take me a minute. Excuse me, Mr. Stone.
Go right ahead. Glad you dropped in, Miss Brooks. Perhaps you can shed some light on the identity of the culprit who dared to bring an animal into this school yesterday.
An animal, Mr. Stone?
Specifically, a dog. When I saw it romping around outside the biology lab, I came in here to report the incident to Mr. Conklin. When I returned to the spot, it had vanished.
Good. Some of those spots stay on forever. I'm afraid I can't be of much help to you, Mr. Stone. You see, mine is an English class, and I'm not one of those who are, I should say, in the habit of hanging around other labs. The labs of others, I mean, so I couldn't really shed any light on the identity of which the dog belonged to who. Whom?
And exactly how long have you had this English class, Miss Brooks?
You bet. Well, please forgive my faulty syntax, Mr. Stone. The thought of a beast on the premises has frazzled my nerves a bit. Well, goodbye now.
One moment. You were going to open that bag, remember?
Bag? What bag? Oh, the bag. Oh, well, you really wouldn't want to look at what's in this bag, sir. It's nothing but...
What was that?
I said I'll run along now and meow. Meow, that's a new expression some of the kids use. It's real cool, I think. Meow. Instead of saying goodbye, they say meow. Silly, isn't it? Sometimes I stretch it out with a little western drawl. Well, meow now, Mr. Stone. Meow, Mr. Conklin. Meow. Meow.
Now, that was mighty peculiar behavior. She galloped out of here like a frightened antelope.
Yes, and it's my guess that right now she and her western drawl are loping over to the old bunkhouse in Mr. Boynton's lab.
Oh, hello there, Miss Brooks.
Howdy. Please sit down, Mr. Boynton. We've got a little palavering to do.
Well, can it wait, Miss Brooks? I was just on my way to the cloakroom to feed Geraldine.
Geraldine?
You know, my dog. She's a boxer.
And if Mr. Conklin drops in, she'd better come out fighting. That's what I came to warn you about.
Warn me?
Yes, he's on an anti-animal kick. Mr. Stone happened to see Geraldine in the hall yesterday, and he was furious. Luckily, he doesn't know who her owner is yet.
Gosh, I guess I should have asked Mr. Conklin's permission. Oh, but there's little chance of my dog being discovered in here, Miss Brooks. Mr. Stone rarely comes into my lab. The same goes for Mr. Conklin.
Oh, well, my cat can hide out here for the day.
Your cat?
Yeah, I'll let her out of the bag. I certainly wouldn't want Mr. Conklin to find out I'm a cat rustler. Out you come, Minerva. You won't mind taking care of her for me, will you, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, not at all. Come here, baby.
All righty. Oh, you mean her.
I'm crazy about cats, Miss Brooks. Why, the minute I see one, I can't resist nestling it in my arms and stroking its little head.
Meow. And Mrs. Mrs. Davis ordered a seat cushion sent to my class today, Miss Boynton. I'll bring it over so that Minerva can stretch out in comfort.
Oh, that'll be dandy. I saw Mrs. Davis at the movies last night, and she told me about her brother Victor's farmhouse and that she's buying him a cow. I just love cows, don't you?
Madly. Oh, I love all animals, Mr. Boynton.
You know, sometimes I get to thinking about my childhood days on Dad's farm, Miss Brooks. Oh, I miss those days a lot. I hope Victor asks me out to his farm someday.
We can both go out someday. Some night, I mean. Some night when Victor isn't home. We can stroll in the meadow, hand in hand, with the moonlight pouring down.
That sounds pretty thrilling. You think Victor would let me milk his cow?
We can both milk her. You take the left side, and I'll take the right side, and I'll be homogenized before you. Oh, great. Speaking of milk, has evidently whipped up Minerva's appetite. Steady, Minerva.
Mr. Conklin.
Yikes.
Addie. I hope you'll forgive this intrusion, Boynton. I just dropped into... Oh, hello, little pussycat. I just dropped in to make certain there are no dogs in here. Not that I suspect you, Boynton, but I just thought I'd take a look around. Well, I don't see any dogs on the premises. No dogs at all. Sorry to trouble you. I'll just run along now. And hello, little pussycat!
I have it. Let's all play charades. I mean, there's still a few minutes before first class, so just for kicks.
That will do. Out with it now. To whom does this cat belong?
Cat? What cat? Oh, the pussycat. It's quite a pussycat, isn't it? Silky. It's a girl cat, no doubt. Mr. Boynton and I hadn't noticed her.
Oh, that's right. She must have strayed in, sir.
Nonsense. Miss Brooks, I'm beginning to understand those phantom meows I heard in my office. Now then.
What are you doing to the cat's collar, Mr. Conklin?
I'm removing it, Miss Brooks. It'll be an easy matter to determine the person who owns her by simply checking the number on this license tag. That person, needless to say, is a dead duck. Goodbye, Boynton. Meow now, Miss Brooks.
Meow now? I don't quite understand that, Miss Brooks.
That's the farewell expression the kids use.
Meow? That's merely the cry of a cat.
So it is. Well, quack, quack, Mr. Boynton.
Quack, quack?
That's the cry of a dead duck.
Friends, when you suffer torturous pain from rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache, you want relief fast. That's the time to reach for HEAT. H-E-E-T. HEAT, the liniment that's strong yet does not burn. The moment you apply it, you can feel HEAT's soothing warmth working to relieve your painful miseries. That's because HEAT penetrates deep, brings immediate relief to sore, aching muscles. Wherever you ache, just brush on HEAT. HEAT penetrates deep, keeps working for hours to bring wonderful, soothing comfort to the painful, aching area. Your pain seems to disappear. HEAT isn't oily, sticky, or messy. You just brush on HEAT with a handy applicator that comes with each bottle, and it dries in seconds. So remember, when pain of rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache makes you miserable, HEAT's penetrating warmth gives you fast, long-lasting relief. Get HEAT, H-E-E-T. HEAT, the liniment that penetrates deep to bring immediate relief.
Having heard nothing from Mr. Conklin during my morning classes, I presumed that he had not as yet traced the number on Minerva's license tag. As I left my classroom for lunch, however, the figure of a sentry armed with a BB rifle loomed up before me.
Halt! Step forward and be recognized.
It's me, Mr. Conklin.
Oh. Step back and be unrecognized, Miss.
Aye, aye, sir. And so, having been honorably discharged, I hiked down to the school cafeteria and ordered chow. It was then that Walter Denton beckoned me to his table.
Over here, Miss Brooks. Wilt thou not visit me? The plant beside me feels thy gentle dew, and every blade of grass I see from thy deep earth its quickening moisture drew.
I ordered meatballs. What have you got?
The same. I guess you didn't care for that bit of poetry I quoted, huh, Miss Brooks?
You guessed right, Walter.
Well, how do you like this one? You'd never have let the cat from the bag if you knew Mr. Conklin would grab her tag.
You're either psychic or a sneak. How'd you find out I'm up the creek?
Oh, that's a very provocative question, Miss Brooks. You will recall that shortly before first class this morning, our beloved principal invaded Mr. Boynton's lab and trapped you dead to rights with your furry friend.
With two furry friends. Mr. Boynton lost his razor.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I happened to be standing in the hall just outside the lab, and presently I heard excitement-laden voices wafted through the transom. And now, that was a moment of great decision for me, Miss Brooks. I could have either hewed to the path of dishonor by remaining in the hall and eavesdropping, or I could have taken the glorious avenue of decency by closing my ears and leaving the scene.
Well?
Yeah, I took the dirty road out.
For shame. But you still don't know all the details, Walter.
Au contraire, Miss Brooks. I was about to say that some minutes later, I confronted Mr. Boynton with the juicy morsels I had overheard, informed him that I should like to be acquainted with all the facts, and requested that he sing.
And he sang?
Ezio Pinza would have envied him.
Well, this is no laughing matter, Walter. When Mr. Conklin traces Minerva's license tag...
He didn't have time to trace it this morning, Miss Brooks, and it's too late now. Here is a little gift as a token of my esteem.
Walter, it's the tag. How did you get it?
Like I said, Miss Brooks, I'm pretty perfidious at times. When Mr. Conklin left his office for a few moments, I sneaked in, made off with the tag, and ever since then he's been flipping his lid wondering what happened to it.
But that's stealing. That's a dreadful thing to do, Walter, and thanks a million.
Yeah, well, you're entirely welcome. The only one thing worries me, Miss Brooks. Since Mr. Conklin can't establish ownership, he'll probably confiscate your cat and send her to the pound.
Oh, no. We can't let that happen to Minerva. Somehow we've got to spring her. I have an idea, Walter. You've got to sneak her out of the biology lab through the window and then take her to Mrs. Davis's brother's farmhouse. It's only a 15-minute drive from here, so you can report back to me in my classroom before the end of lunch period.
Check. I know a shortcut to the farmhouse, Miss Brooks. I helped Victor move some furniture in day before yesterday. Oh, before I go, I'd better stop at the steam table and get Minerva some milk.
That won't be necessary. If Minerva wants milk, why get it now? She'll get it at the farm, direct from the cow.
Miss Brooks will return in a moment. CBS News has always attempted to keep up with your need to know. As months of international tension have lengthened out into years, as America's position of world leadership has moved it into the forefront of decision and action on a global scale, CBS News has remained on the job with eyewitness observers in every strategic world capital. And CBS News has continued to build its reporting corps as well as its observing staff. Today, America listens most to the evening news broadcasts of four great newsmen, every Monday through Friday evening on most of these same stations. These men are Lowell Thomas, noted world traveler and lecturer; Edward R. Murrow, Dean of CBS News, recipient of numerous awards for his reporting, his integrity, his courage in world events; Douglas Edwards, one of America's most popular voices for CBS News; and Robert Trout, for years still another great name in CBS News. Tomorrow and every weekday evening, listen for each of these renowned reporters broadcasting world news at the Star's address.
Well, after Walter promised to sneak Minerva out of school to Victor's farm, the only problem remaining was what to do about Mr. Boynton's dog. In my classroom shortly after noon, I told Mr. Boynton what Walter had done.
Well, I doubt that he'll get back here before the end of lunch period, Miss Brooks. It's almost 1 o'clock now.
Excuse me, Mr. Boynton. I want to steal a little peek into the hallway. No sentry. Mr. Conklin apparently ducked out for a bite. Now's your chance to get rid of your dog.
Oh, I've already taken care of that. I simply lowered Geraldine out the window and told her to go home. She'll be lying on the doorstep waiting for me after school, Miss Brooks. You see, she's been trained. No matter where she is, she knows how to get to my apartment house.
So do I, but what good does it do?
Hiya, folks. I got your cat to the farm okay, Miss Brooks.
Nice work, Walter. Did you turn her over to Mrs. Davis?
Not exactly. She was out shopping when I got there, but I left Minerva with her brother Victor as soon as he got through with the delivery man.
Delivery man?
Yeah. Some guy was delivering a seat cushion.
What? But that cushion was supposed to be delivered to my classroom. Good old absent-minded Mrs. Davis.
Miss Brooks?
Yes?
A sign here.
For what?
For this.
Oh, no. Wait a minute, mister. This is a cow.
You got good eyes, lady. We'll give you the bucket free.
Gosh, a real cow. I haven't milked a cow in 14 years. Hand me that bucket, Walter.
Oh, no, you don't. This is no time to improve your handshake. Listen, mister, my landlady evidently got confused. There's been a dreadful mistake, but you'll simply have to take back this cow.
Oh, I'm sorry, lady. That'll take a separate order, and our company's jammed up for the day. Give them a call, though. Maybe we can take her tomorrow.
Well, you've got to be reasonable. You can't leave a cow here overnight. This is a public school under the supervision of the federal government.
Let's keep politics out of this. I'll be going now. So long, lady.
Uh-oh, I just caught a glimpse of Mr. Conklin and his daughter Harriet coming up the school steps.
What'll we do? Mr. Boynton, cut that out.
Sorry, I lost my head.
Look in the bucket.
I'll see you later, Daddy.
Fine, Harriet. I'll be right here on sentry duty. No silly cat or dog is going to get past me today.
Boy, he's sure going to get a surprise from some silly cow.
Not if I can help it. Quick, close the door. Now listen carefully, Walter. I want you to stay here with the cow and see that absolutely no one enters this classroom. Then after school's over, when the sentry leaves, we can escape with the cow.
Okay, Miss Brooks, you can depend on me.
What can I do to help, Miss Brooks?
Just hand me that valise. The other one.
Steady, girl, steady. You're in good hands. 10 after 3, Walter. As soon as Miss Brooks gets back, we can...
Who goes there?
A friend. I'm unarmed.
Wait till I pull the chair away from the door.
Hi, Miss Brooks. See anybody in the hall?
Just Harriet Conklin. She was on her way to a dramatics club meeting. I saw Mr. Conklin getting into his car, so now's our chance to make the break. You men bring up the rear. We girls will lead the way. Come along, Bossy. Now keep your eyes peeled, Walter. You too, Mr. Boynton. If you see anybody...
Holy smoke! Quick, push her in here. I'll open the door.
But Walter!
No time to explain. In you go, Bossy. Come on. In.
All right, Walter. Now would you mind explaining what we and the strange cow are doing in Mr. Conklin's office?
Well, I just saw Harriet Conklin coming down the stairs. Oh, but we're safe in here. She never comes into Mr. Conklin's office when he isn't around.
Quick thinking, Walter.
Hi, Daddy. I thought you'd gone home.
I forgot something in my office, Harriet.
Whoops, he's around. Pipe down.
What on earth is going on in there? Well, I'll soon find out.
Back the cow into the closet. Hurry.
Come on, Bossy. Back.
Come on, in you go all the way. That's it.
Oh, now she'll only stay quiet until Mr. Conklin...
Moon over Miami.
Oh, hello, Mr. Conklin.
Miss Brooks, Boynton, Denton, what are you doing here?
Well, sir, we were just... Moon of Monocura.
I demand to know what you are doing in my office.
Well, sir, we were just...
Moonlight and...
Is the song fest over now?
No, not Mr. Conklin. Somehow I feel more coming on. I'm in the mood for love simply because you're...
Oh, shut up! You all sound like a herd of sick cattle. For the last time, what are you doing here?
Well, sir, we just dropped in to say goodbye on our way home.
I left here 5 minutes ago, but I forgot my hat. I'll get it out of the closet, and we can all go together.
What an awful way to go. Oh, surely you don't need a hat on such a lovely day, sir. Why not skip the closet?
Step aside, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Pardon me, please. Take it easy. Take it easy. I just want to get my hat. It'll take a second. Seems to be on the floor. If I can just reach it. I've got it now. Oh, I am sorry. Now, if I... No, I've got it. Now, I can... Pardon me again, please. Will one of you kindly tell me that I didn't see what I just saw in that closet?
You've had a rough day on sentry duty, sir. Overwork very often causes one's mind to play tricks that are...
Oh, yes, of course. Absurd. I'm convinced the whole thing was a mirage, notwithstanding the indisputable fact that my hat here, as you can plainly see, is half filled with cream. Just to reassure myself, however, I'd like to take another look in the closet. This time you will follow me, Miss Brooks.
Oh, it's rather late, Mr. Conklin. Let's do it in the morning.
You'll follow me now, Miss Brooks. And I do mean now.
Yes, sir.
Holy cow!
And you do mean cow.
Our Miss Brooks, starring E. Martin, transcribed and produced and directed by Larry Burns, written by Joe Quillen and Al Lewis, with the music of Lud Gluskin. Mr. Conklin was played by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Bob Rockwell, Gloria McMillan, Joseph Kearns, Joel Samuels, and Billy Gould. Be sure to be with us next week for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. System presents yours truly, Johnny Dollar. The next half hour has its baggage packed to take a half-hour trip with America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, he is just an expert. At making out his expense account, he is an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, East Coast Underwriters, Terminal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures in the investigation of the Paracoff policy for your company. Expense account, item 1, plane fare to Benton, Ohio, $40.04. Expense account, item 2, plane fare, Benton back to Hartford, $40.04. Explanation, purchase 2 one-way tickets instead of saving money by purchasing one round trip. Because of the type of case I'm usually assigned, I never press my luck by buying round trips. This time I was almost right. Expense account, item 3. Cab fare, airport to Valley Hotel, $2.20. Tip the driver.
Gee, $1.
Well, naturally.
There'll be steak on the table tonight. Welcome to Warfare City.
Hey, doorman.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
Bring my bag inside, will you? Oh, here.
$1.
Always.
Well, all you have to have is $1. Would you have to have one?
Right here, boy.
Good evening, sir.
Hello. Do you have a reservation for Johnny Dollar?
Oh, yes. Mr. Dollar's in his room. He checked in about 8 o'clock.
What? I guess I ain't the man I used to be. What room is he in?
Oh, sorry, sir. I'm not permitted to tell you that. I can call.
Oh, no, never mind. Let me have an envelope, will you? I'd like to leave my card for this Mr. Dollar.
Yes. Here you are.
Thanks. Here, just pop this in his box. The clerk popped the envelope to box number 207, so I popped myself into an elevator going up to room 207. I'd come to Benton to investigate a murder, and in just a matter of minutes, I found myself ready to commit one.
Hey, yes? Who is it?
A bellboy, sir. A package from Hartford.
Just a minute. What kind of a
Special delivery! Come on, get up on your feet.
Oh, it's safer down here. Now, take it easy. You must be Johnny Dollar.
Sometimes strangers in a hotel room can be a lot of fun, but not when they're men and not when they're using my name. What's your angle?
Now, listen, Dollar, I can explain everything.
It better be good and it better be fast.
I didn't want to be seen waiting for you in the lobby, and it's important that I talk with you before anybody else does. That's why I'm here. I'm Eric Barker.
Oh, the defense attorney in this Paracoff thing, huh? Well, I hope you're better at defending your client than you are at defending yourself.
Well, whether my client goes to the chair or not, unfortunately, has nothing to do with my being a good lawyer. That's why I wanted to talk to you.
Oh, I suppose this is one time when the attorney won't mind relinquishing the floor. Why don't you get up on your feet?
Oh, thanks. Thanks, I will. I'm no coward, Dollar, but if either one of us is going to get any place in this case, we'll have to work together. I need your help, and I need it badly.
Sorry, I do a single act.
Oh, now, don't be hasty. I can help you, too. Just how much do you know about the Paracoff murder?
Well, I know it's one of the screwiest cases I've ever run into. Beneficiaries are knocking off insured people all over the country, but not here in Benton. Oh, no. Here, they tell me, the insured man knocked off the beneficiary. And now I've got the jolly assignment of trying to keep the state from executing the insured man. My employer, East Coast Underwriters, isn't anxious to see $100,000 of their money burn up in the electric chair.
Well, at least we're both stuck with the same tough job.
Look, I'll tell you the few things that I already know, and you fill it in from there.
All right.
All I want to know is that Paracoff was shot to death and that his business partner, your client, Harlan Wolf, was picked up making a quick trip out of town and was being held for the murder. What have they got on him?
Only what they found on him, and it's enough. The murder weapon.
Any witnesses?
One. Paracoff's widow, Marcia. An eyewitness.
Murder weapon and an eyewitness. It seems, at least at first glance anyway, that the state of Ohio will be receiving a large electric bill one day soon. Any chance of my seeing Wolf?
No, not before he's indicted.
Oh, great.
Dollar, Harlan Wolf shot Paracoff in self-defense. There was no premeditation. I'm convinced that I could get him off with a second-degree manslaughter verdict. That is, I could if it weren't for the tactics of the prosecution.
Oh, what's that?
Well, they not only have intimidated my character witnesses, but they also have suborned their own to perjury.
the sort of thing I'm up against.
Well, as the insurance companies keep saying, never say die. Where can I find the widow Parakoff?
If they aren't holding her in protective custody so nobody can question her, she may be at home. That's 1375 96th Street.
That's a lot of figures. By the way, how's hers? Expense account, item 4. Cab fare to home of murdered man and the girl he left behind him, $2.40. I shivered all the way out to the suburbs, but not from fear or anticipation. Just a simple case of summer shorts in red flannel weather. The Parakoff place was obviously the product of a good income and a bad architect. It looked like a great big wedding cake, and Mother Nature had mercifully iced the confection. The front walk was white and untrammeled as the driven snow. As a matter of fact, that's what it was. 3 inches of it, which meant that Marcia hadn't had a visitor in the past couple of hours. I was playing detective, and somebody inside was playing the radio. So I played Peeping Tom, and loved every second of it. I couldn't see her face, but she had a lovely profile. I hastened to the door. Ouch! Her hair was red and her eyes were green. Her hair stopped you cold and then her eyes gave you the go signal.
Yes?
Would you mind saving that yes for later?
I beg your pardon?
I've come to ask your help and I hope you'll say yes. You see, my name is Johnny Dollar and I've been sent to Benton to investigate the death of your husband.
Say, what is this? Has it turned into a federal case?
Oh, I'm from the insurance company.
Oh, come in.
Thanks. Where can I put my coat? This snow is melting all over your carpet.
Well, let it melt. Just throw your coat anyplace.
Okay.
Good shot. Come on in by the fireplace. Nice and warm.
Oh, I should have brought some chestnuts. I could have followed her with my eyes closed. She headed for the living room, leaving a pathway of perfumed air behind her, and I didn't waste a breath of it. That's nice perfume.
Sit down.
Thanks. If you can stand a compliment before we get down to business, you certainly do furnish a room.
Oh, you like it? Most of the things are reproductions.
Not the things I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean me?
This is a happy surprise. I expected to find someone fatter and 40er.
My husband was. Now, what about his insurance?
Oh, you've got me wrong. I'm working for the company that insured the man being held for the murder of your husband, Harlan Wolf.
What do you want from me?
Just the story of what happened.
Oh, well, that I can't do. The district attorney had a long talk with me about it. I'm not supposed to say anything to anybody about it until the trial.
Well, I'm not asking you for any state secrets. I just want you to save me a trip down to the morgue.
Oh, don't be so brutal.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were still in mourning. That negligee confused me. Anyway, I'm at the newspaper morgue. That's what they call their files. You gave them a story. Why won't you give it to me?
I told you I can't.
Okay, so I wasted your time.
Oh, wait a minute. You aren't leaving.
Well, you aren't cooperating.
Oh, sit down. I'm going crazy in this house, alone all the time. Can't we find something else to talk about?
Sure, later. But first things first.
Well, all right. Well, I don't see how it could be wrong to tell you what's already been in the newspapers.
Oh, go on.
Well, all right. Harlan Wolf and I were here, in this room, alone. We were discussing business.
Business?
Business. The Highland Coal Corporation. My husband was its president. Harlan is the secretary-treasurer, and I'm the vice president.
I can't resist this, but, you know, your kind of businesswoman makes this anthracite heart of mine feel very bituminous.
What?
Oh.
I don't get it.
Let it go. So you and Wolf are sitting here talking about your coal business.
Yes. And then my husband came home.
And no doubt accused you and the secretary-treasurer of putting in too much overtime. Is that it?
Oh, yes. Oh, it was terrible. They fought, and finally Harlan ran over to the couch over there and pulled his gun out of his overcoat pocket and started pulling the trigger.
Who called the police? The neighbors?
No, I did. Well, that's all there is to it.
Well, that's all I wanted to know. It didn't hurt, did it?
No. Now, how about using those big shoulders of yours to throw a log on the fire?
Well, sure. I'll go outside and get one.
Oh, there are logs
in here.
I'd rather have one that's a little damp. They burn slower.
Oh. Well, then while you're at it, get a big one.
I left Marcia gazing into the fire, called a cab, and stepped out into the cold night air to wait for it. I went down the front walk with my mind on what lay behind me instead of what was ahead.
Hey, Dollar.
Out of the white snow loomed two very large blue police uniforms, completely filled.
Get out of this Parakoff mess, Dollar. Matter of fact, get out of this town.
Why, officer? I'm just beginning to like it here.
This is from the top that makes it official. We got the guilty man. We don't want any trouble.
Well, you go back to the top and tell them that this is one sure way of getting trouble.
They told us how to answer that one, too.
I did my best to break every one of the Marquis of Queensberry rules. I knew I was fighting a losing fight, but I was fighting for a little time, and that's all I got. Their fists never stopped, and my head began to feel like a ping-pong ball in a four-handed game. Suddenly, things looked up. Me, flat on my back in the snow, seeing stars. And then a boot came flying toward my head and switched off all the little pretty lights.
All America is taken to Sing It Again, CBS Saturday night show of fun, frolic, and the fabulous Phantom Fortune. By telephone, listeners all over the nation are asked for their answers to the rhythmic riddle songs. Popular songs with new lyrics hiding the name of a movie star, radio star, or man about town. A right answer to a riddle, and the listener gets a crack at Sing It Again's Phantom Voice Fortune of $24,500 in prizes. It's a sensational session of music, suspense, and prizes. Don't miss Sing It Again tonight over most of these same CBS network stations. Maybe you'll sing to the tune of 24-5. And now back to yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Expense account, item 5. Medical supplies, bonded, $7. And here's something I'll give you for free. A handy help for your regularly employed insurance investigators. When I find myself overwhelmed in a brawl with unknown assailants, us included, I do my best to take away more than just bruises and contusions. During my career, I've picked more pockets than a rack boy in a pool room. And I added one more to the score during the brawl in front of the Parakoff house, just before I went bye-bye in the snow.
Hey, mister, wake up. Come on, wake up. You'll catch your death of cold. You call a cab?
Yeah, I think so.
Holy smokes, your face. Was you robbed?
What's the matter? Isn't it there?
Huh? Oh, here, come on. I'll give you a hand.
Thanks.
Holy smokes, when I first seen you laying there, I thought you was a snowman tipped over. How do you feel, cold?
Forevermore I shall look kindly upon the haddock in the deep freeze.
Huh? Hey, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a wallet.
You lose it?
First I found it, and then I lost it. Oh, here it is. Come on, let's get out of here.
Where to, Mr. Police Headquarters?
Oh, no. Over my dead body. Expense account item 6, breakfast and bed, $2.40. Expense account item 7, photographic work, $6 for taking pictures of contents of wallet. I left it from the police uniform the night before, which I sent to you, dear East Coast underwriters, for safekeeping. Expense account item 8, 70 cents cab fare to office of Edison Byron, District Attorney. Item 9, tip to driver, $1.
Sorry to have kept you waiting, Dollar. Good heavens, man. What happened to your face? Felonious assault?
Yeah, but I got a flash for you. Not by person or persons unknown.
Splendid. You wish to prefer charges?
Half right again, but not for felonious assault, and not against the guys who gave me going over last night.
And what are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. They were two of your harness bulls. But I don't want to waste time listening to you deny it, so forget it.
I don't have the slightest idea what this is all about, Dollar.
I said forget it. I want to talk about something more important. You're holding Harlan for the Parakoff murder. Now, what I want to know is, when are you going to hand down your indictment, and what it's going to be?
First thing in the morning, first-degree murder. Anything else that you want to know before I have you thrown out of here?
Yeah. How do I get mixed up in these rhubarbs? Expense account, item 10, 5 cents. Phone call to my partner in despair, attorney for the defense, Eric Barker, who agreed to lend me a set of police photographs of the scene of the crime. They arrived at my hotel room just as I was leaving it to eat. And when I looked at them, I lost my appetite. According to the X's marking the various spots, Parakoff and Wolf had been standing face to face in the middle of the room when Wolf decided to punch Parakoff's ticket with a few .38 caliber perforations. According to the photographs of the corpus delicti, all of the steel-jacketed forget-me-nots had gone banging straight into the right side of Parakoff's body. I set up an appointment to meet Barker at 3 that afternoon and decided to make the most of the time in between by seeing what kind of a trade I could make on that wallet I picked up during the winter sports of the night before. The name in it was Ben Arnold, and the address was disreputable.
I don't want any brushes.
Well, what a coincidence. I'm not selling any.
What do you want?
I'm looking for Ben Arnold.
Who isn't? He promised me he'd be home by now. By this time, I should know better.
Well, I'll wait.
Outside.
Inside.
Hey, wait a minute. Ben won't like this.
Well, that makes it even. I don't like Ben.
Look, I don't want any trouble.
Okay, don't make any trouble.
What do you want here anyway?
Well, let's just say I dropped in for an unfriendly visit.
If Ben finds you here, it'll get real unfriendly. Ain't that face of yours marked up enough?
Well, that mouse hanging under your eye isn't exactly a beauty mark. Ben really spreads his blessings, doesn't he? Ben had really spread one blessing right there close in front of me. It was a small room, about the size of a large closet, with the clothes sprawled high and low, making the whole place look like a collapsed clothesline. And there, hanging on the back of the door, was Ben Arnold's police uniform. My eyes popped out, pushed one of its shiny brass buttons, and rang the bell. There, like little love letters on the brass, stood the initials CPD. And CPD were never the initials of the Benton Police Department. Thanks for seeing me so quickly, Barker.
Oh, Dollar, you're up. Good Lord. What happened to your face?
A couple of police uniforms with overstuffed shoulders did this to me last night.
Yeah, there you are. I warned you that we're up against a bunch of ruthless people. Something should be done about it. Using the police force to beat up anybody who stands in their way.
No, Barker. They're wearing uniforms, but they weren't police.
I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Barker, can you give me one good reason for a Benton cop to be wearing an out-of-town uniform? And don't tell me they got mixed up at the cleaners.
Out-of-town uniform?
Yes, and here's another one. If the law enforcement setup here is so rotten, why would they go to all the trouble of dressing up an outsider to do their muscle work?
I don't know.
What I mean is, did they?
Why? Who else would do it? It certainly couldn't have been Marcia.
Why not? She isn't exactly hard up for a motive. If Wolf goes to the chair, she collects his insurance money. Not only is she the widow of the original beneficiary, she's also vice president of the coal company. Any way you look at it, she's a secondary beneficiary.
But why should Wolf admit to the shooting? He has nothing to gain and his life to lose.
Look, Marcia told me that the night of the murder, she and Wolf were alone in the house talking about the coal business. Then she didn't know what I meant when I used the words bituminous and anthracite. Whatever they had on the fire that night, it wasn't coal.
You're right about that. Marcia and Wolf were having, well, some kind of a romance.
Yeah, okay. So let's say Marcia shot her husband. Let's say Wolf is madly in love with her. Let's say she promises Wolf that she will testify he shot her husband in self-defense. Marcia gets away with murder. Wolf gets away with a light sentence or none at all. And then Wolf gets away with a girl. Now, that does make sense.
What makes you think this is even possible?
Barker, somebody had me beat up last night. I say the prosecution wouldn't have bothered sending fake cops. There's one thing I gotta check, and check fast.
What's that?
Those police photos you gave me show that Parakoff was shot by a left-handed shooter.
Well, that's one of the prosecution's strongest points. Wolf is left-handed.
That doesn't prove that Marcia isn't. Barker, I'm going to go out and see Mrs. Parakoff. And there's only really one thing I hope.
That she's left-handed?
that she's wearing that same negligee that she had on last night. Hello, Marcia. Can I come in?
Why, Johnny, what happened to your face?
I didn't get down to the beauty parlor today.
Oh, you look like you've been fighting.
Mm-hmm. Not too well, but wisely.
Well, come on in the other room. And, how about throwing another log on the fire?
You're a real little firebug, aren't you? You should have lived back in old Nero's time.
Whose time?
Nero's time. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll build the fire if you'll light it.
I'd love to. Oh, you're getting a dry one from inside. Last night you went all the way outside to get one that would burn for a long time.
Hey, you got some paper?
Here's some.
There we are. Okay, hot point. Here's my lighter. Touch it off.
Okay. Here, that'll do it. Come on, sit down.
There's one more thing I'd like you to do for me.
What is it?
It's very simple. Pick up your phone and call the district attorney. Tell him you want to change your story on the murder of your husband.
What are you talking about?
If you don't, I will.
Well, what have I done?
Okay, if you want to play games, I'll read you the rules. You know, there's a big advantage to being on my side of investigation. See, fellows in my racket have the benefit of a lot of experience. But murderers, well, almost everyone is inexperienced at that business. One moment they aren't murderers, the next moment they are.
Oh, Johnny, please.
But now let's take a look at what's on my side. For instance, for one thing, from the empty shells thrown off by an automatic pistol, the experts can get a better picture of a murder scene than they can from the witnesses. Your husband was killed by a gun that was held approximately 18 inches away and directly in front of him, and the bullets entered the right half of his body. That means he was killed by a left-handed shooter.
Harlan Wolf is left-handed. You can ask him. He'll tell you.
I know that.
And I'm right-handed.
I just found that out, too.
And what more do you need?
Not much. Now, Marcia, let's see what you've got going for you. You've got a face and a body, and not too much of a brain. But, baby, that's not enough. It's not enough to offset the things that I know.
You don't know anything.
Oh, okay, so let's make this a guessing game. Let's guess after your husband was shot, you called Wolf. When he got here, you told him you'd given your husband a .38 caliber divorce, right? Then you charged him into taking the rap for you, right?
No.
And then you told him you'd testify he shot your husband in self-defense, right? Then once you got him in jail, you told the district attorney that Wolf had committed premeditated murder, that he'd been after you to leave your husband and had threatened to shoot him if you didn't, right?
Stop it!
That's a good idea, Della. Stop it.
Eric, he knows. What are we going to do?
Keep quiet.
We'll have to get rid of him, Eric.
Just as soon as we get rid of something else.
All right, Dollar. I want Ben Arnold's wallet, and I want it right now.
You're welcome to it, Barker. But it might interest you to know that I had its picture taken this morning. Your phony policeman's wallet and everything in it. And copies of the photos are in the mail right now. The insurance company won't have any trouble connecting you with the comedy cops who beat me up last night.
You're bluffing.
But that's not all I've got on you, Barker. This morning when I was lying in bed, reading the bumps on my head, it suddenly dawned on me that you were the only one that knew where I was going last night. So you must have been the one who had me roughed up. It also does my heart good to see you standing there holding that gun in your left hand. You shot Park off and then got out of here while Marcia called Wolf, told him she'd done it, and talked him into taking the rap.
Shoot him, Eric.
For a lawyer, Barker, how do you like my case? Good, isn't it?
What are you waiting for? Shoot him. Kill him, I tell you.
Shut up, Marcia.
All right, Dollar. Stand still.
If you won't, I will. Give me that gun.
Marcia, look out!
Marcia made a rush to grab the gun from Barker. She got between me and the gun, and I dove in behind her, arms straight out, picked her up, and she... Marcia went smashing into Barker, and I went on a frantic treasure hunt through that flailing mass of snorting, angry bodies to find the hand that held the gun. Believe me, it was no place for a lady, but Marcia was no lady.
No!
I grabbed deep in between them and yanked Barker's gun hand up out of the go-round, and just to make sure the rest was strictly a fist fight, jammed my trigger finger in over his and shot into the ceiling. The way the plaster was falling, it was like another fight in the snow. But this time, Johnny Dollar came up heads instead of tails.
Eric!
Come on, Barker, up. Come on, get up. No. Down you go.
Oh, Eric!
All right, Marcia. Now be a nice little girl. Pick up the nice little telephone and call the nice little district attorney and invite him out to your nice little house. Expense account, item 11. $12.40. That was lunch for district attorney. During which we agreed that it was the first case we'd ever worked on where the defense was working harder for a conviction than the prosecution. Also, that it was the first case where everybody turned out to be guilty. Defense attorney Eric Barker of murder, his girlfriend Martha Parakoff of being an accessory before and after the fact, and Harlan Wolf of conspiracy to defraud. Oh, no wonder the nation's jails are getting overcrowded. Expense account, item 12. Hotel bill, $28. Expense account, item 13. Flowers for the cell of unlucky Marcia Parakoff, $5. Expense account, item 14. $700. Side trip to Miami, Florida. Purpose? To recover from catching 40 winks and miserable cold in Benton, Ohio snowbank. Expense account total, $1,230.20. Signed, yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Listen in again next week when CBS brings you Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, with Charles Russell as Johnny. Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar is written by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd and is produced and directed by Richard Sandville. Live life with Luigi, and you live a wonderful life of seeing yourself as others see you. Luigi Basco is the little Italian immigrant who loves America, even though he's highly puzzled by American ways, American language, Americans themselves. His friends try to explain, his neighbors try to help, but it's usually Luigi who has the last word, who knows what America really is. Luigi's life is paved with laughter, and yours will be too, for the half hour that Life with Luigi fills every Sunday night over most of these CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Columbia Broadcasting System presents Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. The next half hour has its baggage packed to take a trip with America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, he's just an expert. At making out his expense account, he is an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Honesty Life Insurance Underwriters, Terminal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. Attention, Austin Farnsworth, General Manager. The following is an accounting of my expenditures in the investigation of policyholder Milfred Brooks III for your company. Expense account, item 1, 75 cents. Cab fare to your office in answer to your original hurry call. Tip to driver, $1. Expense account, item 2, 25 cents. Shoe shine. You remember I got my shoes scuffed when I unsuspectingly walked through the private door to your office.
Dollar, grab him. He's trying to jump out that window. Let go.
I'll show you.
Oh, no, you don't.
Hey, let go, you fool. Get away. Had a nice try, sonny boy. Now pay attention to the teacher.
No.
Class dismissed. Oh, Mr. Farnsworth, why didn't you tell me what you had waiting for me? I'd have worn my boxing gloves.
Dollar, this was all a complete surprise to me.
Well, just in case your little chum on the floor there wakes up in a hurry, I think I'll close the window. Now.
My goodness, Dollar, what are you doing?
I'm sitting on his head. I don't care if this guy tries killing himself again. I just don't want him to try and kill me. After all, we haven't even been introduced.
Dollar, that happens to be one of our largest policyholders. His life is insured with this company in the amount of $2 million.
Oh, now I can see why you're so anxious to keep him from putting a dent in the sidewalk.
Precisely.
He'd also put quite a dent in your company's bank account.
By the way, Dollar, aren't you in danger of smothering the boy sitting on his head that way?
Maybe. Now, tell me, what's this guy's name, and what's his story?
That, sir, is Milford Brooks III. As I said, we have him insured for $2 million. His mother and father left him with a paid-up policy for the sole purpose of enabling his heirs to pay the inheritance taxes on his estate when he dies. Unfortunately, due to the kind of life he's been leading, Brooks not only hasn't any heirs, he hasn't any money.
He blew all his cash?
That's right. Now he's trying to get some out of us by threatening to kill himself. And that policy pays off on suicide.
In a mortuary, he'd be a millionaire, huh?
Please, Dollar.
Sorry, go on.
Well, 1/2 hour ago, Milford walked into this office and changed the beneficiary in his policy. When that was done, he proceeded to demand, not request, mind you, $500,000 in cash.
Oh, I'll say that's quite a touch.
When I explained to him that there was no loan provision in his insurance policy, he threatened suicide. He said I could either give him the $500,000 cash or pay off the $2 million on his policy.
So all you have to do is to keep him alive.
And he's managed to make that no small problem. The man he named as his new beneficiary, just before he made his demand for the cash, is, well, it's downright frightening.
Why? Who is it?
One of the most notorious gamblers in the East. His name is Hatcher. Harold Hatcher.
Oh.
You know him?
Yeah. Say, that kid's been a post office pinup boy for a lot of years.
Well, there's the situation, Dollar. I'm engaging you to protect Milford Brooks' future.
Yeah, what there is of it. The way this lad operates, you'd think he had but 2 lives to give for his country. He's not only set himself up to get knocked off by somebody else, he's just dying to do the job himself.
Well, it just means that you'll have to work twice as hard.
Oh, it also means something else.
What's that?
That you'll have to pay me twice as much money.
Oh, you'll get your money. The situation demands sacrifice, I'm afraid. But protect the boy, Dollar. Give him something to live for, an interest in life.
An interest in life, huh? Let's see. I know. Here, this should help.
What's that you've got there?
It's what's commonly referred to in the more successful bachelor circles as my little black book. Now, let's see. Ruby? No, her favorite expression is drop dead. Bernadine? No, she'd be the new beneficiary by midnight. Oh, here's one. Here. Butter.
Butter?
Hey, Farnsworth, would you mind passing me that phone, the one with the long cord?
No, not at all.
My little friend here is showing signs of life.
Here you are. Maybe you should let him breathe a bit more.
Don't worry. He'll be all right. Hello? Hello, I want to call New York. Person to person. Miss Theodora Butts. Yeah, that's right. And you'll get her at Hudson 24292.
Dollar, you're not thinking of taking this boy to New York, are you?
Well, I'm going there myself, and you want me to keep an eye on him, don't you? Don't fret, Farnsworth. All is not lost.
You do worry me sitting on his head that way.
Hello? Hello, Butter? Butter, this is Johnny Dollar. I'll be in town tonight. I want to see you. Look, here's what I want you to do. Yes, this is all right to say over the telephone. I want you to reserve a table at the hatchery in my name for 10 o'clock tonight. Will you do that? Okay, I'll see you in a few hours. Huh? But I can't make it any earlier. I'm sitting up on a sick friend. Okay, goodbye.
I'm not sure that I agree with your methods. Oh! What's the matter, Dollar? Did he hit you?
Hit me? No, he bit me. Expense account, item 3. Liquor, $18. Keeping Milford Brooks III peaceful seemed to be the immediate problem, and a bottle of rare old brandy seemed to be the immediate answer. I poured most of it into him, loaded him into my car, and we headed for New York. As we passed through New Haven, he opened one eye, looked up, saw the ale bowl, and gave 3 cheers for old Eli.
Yeah, right.
Old Yale would sure be proud of you. Why anybody would want to insure you for $2 million is more than I can figure.
Yeah, well, my daddy loved me very much, and my mother loved me very much. Not only that, but I love somebody very much. And not only that, but I hate somebody very much. Hey, you want to know something?
Huh.
Next to one other guy, I hate you most of anybody else.
Here, lover boy, it's cocktail hour again. Time for your bottle. Rolling along the Merritt Parkway, I felt very much alone with my own thoughts. And believe me, they weren't very pleasant company. The way it stacked up for me, Brooks had built up a fat gambling debt to Harold Hatcher and had been forced to make him his beneficiary. The suicide threat that he was holding over Honesty Insurance Company was a little tougher to figure, Unless he was trying to finance a trip for himself to get away from the man with a custom-tailored murder motive, Hatcher. My hungry little mind nibbled away on those unsavory morsels of food for thought all the way to Butter's apartment.
Hey, where are you taking me? I want to go to New York.
If you don't behave, Buster, I'll punch your ticket.
Johnny, darling, welcome to New York.
Fastest trip I ever made.
Quiet.
Well, where did you find this?
In a box of Cracker Jacks. Come on, let me in.
Oh, I don't know about you, Johnny. Some men bring me flowers and some bring me candy. What do you bring me? A boiled owl in a Brooks Brothers suit.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you. My name is Brooks, but I haven't got any brothers.
Lucky them.
Fix the pillows on the couch, will you?
They look more at home in the bathtub.
Oh, come on, Buster. Lie down.
Oh, I'm charmed. Thank you.
Hey, this kid's liquor sure can hold him. He's passed out.
How long have you been playing nursemaid to this bottle baby?
Lead me into the bar, sweet. Let's get away from this buzzsaw, and I'll tell you all about it.
Sure, come along. Horrible examples don't seem to bother you, do they?
If you knew how that guy's been bothering me.
What'd he do to me?
Oh, let's just say he put the bite on me. Ah, the river sure does look pretty tonight.
Like a brandy?
Anything but. I've been sniffing that second hand, all the way from Hartford. Oh, make it a barrel root beer. Hey, Butter. See that big boat out there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I sure would like to be on it with you. Sailing off to faraway romantic places.
Get with it, darling. That's the 125th Street Ferry. Here's your root beer. Come on now. Tell Butter all about it.
First things first. Now that I've got a Dad's old-fashioned root beer, how about giving me one of Mom's new-fashioned kisses? And then I'll tell you all about it. A few seconds later, I proceeded to tell her all about it, and it wasn't easy. Everything about her kept flagging down my train of thought. She was a sympathetic listener to my story until I gave her the answer to her first and only question.
Where do I fit into all this?
Well, baby, I thought you understood. My job is to give the poor, misguided boy something to live for. That's you.
Well, he should live so long.
Now, Butter, wait a minute.
Well, don't butter me.
Now, don't get excited now. You misunderstand. I really mean it. I thought if he just got a look at you, realized that things like you exist, you'd make any man glad to be alive. If you can't stand it, I'll take him away. But I sure need you, Butter. Come on, baby. Melt a little. I wouldn't let you get hurt. You know that.
Did I hurt you?
I'm getting used to it. People have been taking pokes at me all day.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's better.
Want some more root beer?
I want some more of you. How about another kiss?
Well, help yourself. Darn. I'll get it, Johnny.
Okay, and if a man answers, hang up, will you?
Oh, don't worry. Hello. Yes, this is Hudson 24292. Well, that depends. Who's calling? Oh, just a moment. It's for you, Johnny. Mr. Farnsworth.
Huh? Oh, okay, I'll take it. Thanks. Say, while I'm talking, be a good girl, will you? And take a look at Milford in the other room. And while you're at it, get me another root beer, huh?
Oh, sure. The service is good around here.
Hello, Farnsworth?
Yes, Dollar. I'm glad I got you.
How'd you get this number?
It's the one you called from my office. I remembered it. I have a photographic mind.
I hope you haven't got a picture of what I'm thinking. What do you want?
I want to know how Milford is. I mean, is he still alive?
Of course he's alive.
Good, good. Do you suppose I could talk to him? I mean, do you think he'll talk to me?
Well, the last time I saw him, he was sound asleep. I'll take a look. Hold the phone. Oh, Butter. Oh, Butter. Hey, Butter. Hello, Farnsworth?
Yes, yes.
Do you have any aspirin there at your house?
Why, of course, Dollar. Why?
Well, you better take a handful. Milford Brooks III just took a powder. I'll call you back.
You let anything happen to him, and you'll need the aspirin.
I've already got a headache. When Milford left, he took my girl with him.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, we want to remind you that it was 437 years ago, next Sunday, the famed Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon began his search for the Fountain of Youth. By sheer coincidence, the man who's still looking for it, Jack Benny, will be heard on CBS next Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And now back to yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Well, nobody could say I wasn't working fast. I'd only been in town for an hour, and I had already succeeded in not only losing your $2 million baby, Milford Brooks III, Mr. Farnsworth, but in losing my $1 million baby, Theodora Butts. I tried to put myself in Milford Brooks' $40 shoes, but they wouldn't fit. You can't outthink a maniac. The best I could do was figure either that he was on his way to commit suicide, or that Harold Hatcher, the man who now stood to collect $2 million in the event of Milford's death, had snatched him out of Butter's apartment. With birds of that type flocking together, Butter stood a good chance of being a dead duck. I spent an hour unsuccessfully shaking down the neighborhood for them. I questioned cab drivers, harness bulls, bartenders. Then I decided to ask for help from higher up. And I don't mean that I said a prayer. Expense account, item 4, 5 cents, phone call.
Police headquarters.
Give me missing persons.
Any particular one?
Don't be a wise guy. Lieutenant Fisher.
Yes, sir. Hello, Dollar. What did you lose?
Practically everybody. Let's start with a girl, Theodora Butts.
You mean you lost your girl? Why didn't you call Dorothy Dix?
Don't waste time being clever. Just check your reports, will you?
Hold on. Buddington, Bumpus, Byers. Nope, nothing on her, Dollar.
Okay, well, try this one. Brooks, Milford III.
Bullseye. Brooks, Milford III. He hasn't been reported missing, and we haven't found him yet. But, we think we know where he is.
Oh, this kind of a question I always hate to ask. Where?
The Hudson River. At 11:15 tonight, his top coat, complete with identification, was found taking a ride on the 125th Street ferry.
Anything else?
Nothing much. Package of matches was found under the coat, monogram. You don't happen to know anybody whose initials are H.H., do you?
H.H.? Well, there's always Horace Height. Thanks, Fisher. I'll check back with you later.
I'll be here.
Expense account, item 5. Nightclubs, $28. Harold Hatcher's hatchery was in a cellar under a hotel, but the prices were high enough to rate a penthouse. The club was draped in too much satin, its lady customers in too little. The decor was French provincial, music Brazilian, and the food was nowhere. The drinks looked weak and the waiters looked strong. All in all, the joint was a sight for sore eyes, for making them sore. The only pretty thing in the place was a blonde. She came strolling up to my table, her hips unconsciously sending subtle little messages back to the rumba band. She opened her mouth, slid her tongue over her lower lip, and let a few warm, soft words slide out.
Looking for someone?
Oh, well, you do until the real thing comes along. Sit down.
Thanks. No, I won't have a drink. My name is Janelle. I understand you were asking about Mr. Hatcher.
Yeah. You know him?
More than somewhat.
Are you Mrs. Hatcher by any chance?
I might be.
Does that mean you might admit it or that you might talk him into it someday?
I'll ignore that. What do you want to see him about?
Mutual friend, Milford Brooks.
I know most of the quiet-clothes boys around here, so you want a cop. You don't look like the type to be a society friend of the Brooks family. So what are you?
I'll ignore that. Is Hatcher around?
He might be.
Oh, come on now. Where is his office?
At the top of the stairs in the back.
Can I expect any trouble getting in?
You act like you just saw a B picture. Harold is doing his best to act like an honest businessman these nights. You won't have any trouble.
How do you know?
Because Harold sent me down here to look you over. I think you're all right.
So I've won myself the good housekeeping seal of approval, huh?
Keeping house with you would meet with my approval.
I ran for my life, had a slow walk across the dance floor, edged my way through a cluster of tables, and went up the back stairs. When I located the door to Hatcher's office, I knocked once and went in.
Come on in.
Thanks. I'm Johnny Dollar. I've been hired by Honesty Life Insurance Underwriters to protect the interest of a guy named Milford Brooks III.
What's that supposed to mean to me?
You know him, don't you?
Well, he isn't exactly one of my boozing buddies.
How much money does he owe you?
We've got him on the books for a few grand. Why?
They picked up his top coat tonight on the 125th Street ferry. He wasn't in it. It might have been a suicide, or it might have been a knockover made to look like a suicide. What's your choice?
Where do you get off asking me to make a choice?
Where were you around 11:30 tonight?
What's it to you?
I don't know. I just thought you might like to rehearse a few answers. The law will be asking you some questions real soon now.
I don't know why I should tell you, but I was driving around in my car getting some air.
You better do better than that. They found a match folder under Brooks' coat. It had your initials on it.
You're out of your mind. The guy owed me a couple of $100,000. You think I'm going around knocking off my own assets?
I don't know whether you're stupid or bright, Hatcher.
Don't worry about it. I know.
What about that insurance policy?
What insurance policy?
Now, look, Hatcher, we're big boys now. We both know that changing the beneficiary of an insurance policy is a legal transaction. That means witnesses. That means it isn't secret.
You mind telling me what you're trying to say?
That you and the Honesty Insurance Company and I all know that Brooks made you the beneficiary in his policy and that you stand to come into $2 million when they fish out his body.
I don't know anything about it.
Motives don't come much bigger.
I'm telling you, this is all news to me. You or nobody else is going to move me off that story.
I feel the same about mine. It doesn't take a genius to know that Brooks didn't love you $2 million worth. There's only one logical reason for his making you the beneficiary that I can see. You forced him into it. Who'd believe anything else?
Who cares? They'd have to prove it. And, brother, that can't be done. Now, how would you like... Wait a minute. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, okay, Rocky. Thanks for the news. Dollar, did you turn me in?
Oh, they're here, huh?
Yeah.
No, I didn't turn you in. What's the matter? You got a good story, Hatcher? You're not worried, are you? Here, have a cigarette.
Thanks. I got a light.
Oh, worked the first time.
Yeah. Nope, I'm not worried. I'll be out in 48 hours.
You'll be lucky if you're out in 48 years.
Okay, boys, come on in.
The homicide boys invited Hatcher down to headquarters. He accepted and invited them down to the bar for a no-hard-feelings drink. They accepted. I walked back down the stairs into the club. The place hadn't changed. Same stale customers, same stale music, same stale air. And the same lovely Janelle sitting at the same unlovely table.
Hello. How'd you make out?
Oh, I left before they started playing 20 questions. But I wouldn't worry. You've got a smart boy in the bar there.
In some ways, maybe. What'd he hand you?
A big round zero.
Wouldn't talk, huh? About what?
Oh, just a little doodad, a $2 million life insurance policy.
Wait a minute. That young Brooks kid?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I knew it. I tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Trying to tell who what?
Hatcher. But he'd get into trouble about that policy. It just looks funny, him being made the beneficiary.
You knew about it, huh? I suppose you also know what was behind it.
Sure, Milford owed him some money. A lot of money. It's in writing.
What kind of writing?
It's a personal note that Brooks is going to get back if he made Harold beneficiary. It's up in his office.
Hey, you must be awful close to Hatcher.
I'm the close, friendly type. I'll have that drink now.
You've earned it, beautiful. She had earned it, and I had a hunch as to why. If ever I saw a gal busy putting the skids under her boyfriend, she was. Even if she helped send him up on a murder rap. I would have bet a quick 50 that she'd tipped him to the police. It's happened before if the boyfriend is the murdering type, and it's a nice, neat legal method of disposal. Janelle led me back up the stairs and into Hatcher's office. I sent her back down to watch the bar to divert Hatcher in case he decided he'd forgotten something. Brooks's personal note made out to the gambler was easy to find, lying neatly in the middle of the top desk drawer. But I found something even more interesting when I went through his wardrobe closet. I began to see a glimmer of light. And then, encouraged by not too much thinking on my part, it turned into a veritable bonfire, which I hoped wouldn't be too hot for me to handle.
Did you find everything?
Honey, if I were a judge, I'd be ready to sentence the guilty party.
Good.
Oh, waiter, the check.
Where are you going? To the police?
Bright girl. I'll see you later. Expense account, item 6. Cab fare, $1. Tip the driver, $1. Once out of the hatchery, I walked to the corner, got into a taxi, and waited. In just a few minutes, my favorite suspect came out of the club, jumped into a taxi, and the chase was on. We nuzzled our way through the traffic over to 2nd Avenue and headed downtown. Then he took a right turn on 45th Street over to Lexington and headed uptown. But they didn't lose us. At 72nd, the cab ahead turned right and pulled to a stop. My driver was on his toes, and his toes were on his brake. We stopped, too, half a block behind.
You want I should wait?
Oh, here you are. Keep the change. It was a garage that belonged to a residence on a parallel street a block away. I made out a for sale sign on one of the big doors. The living quarters upstairs were dark enough to look interesting, so I indulged in a bit of genteel breaking and entering. Entering that old barn didn't take much breaking. I tripped up the stairs. They sounded like they were left over from an old ghost story. And so did the first voice I heard when I stopped, halfway up.
So we've got to be careful, especially about that Johnny Dollar. Are you sure he didn't follow you?
That voice sounded awful dry to be coming from a guy who supposedly had spent most of the night snoozing on the bottom of the Hudson River. It was Milford Brooks III. Get up on your feet, Brooks.
Now, wait a minute. No!
I started this thing slugging you. I might as well finish it the same way.
Leave him alone. He's mine.
Pull in the claws, Angel, and sit on his lap.
Oh, you Connecticut hick. I'll kill you.
Look, I'm the last guy in the world who enjoys physical violence, give or take. But believe me, you two are coming mighty close to changing my whole character. Now settle down before I really lose my head.
Get off of me. I should have known better than to get mixed up with a low-class nobody like you.
Cut. We've pushed the lady around enough, Brooks.
Tell me to be careful. Why didn't you think of that before you led him here?
Wipe for your nose, big boy.
Don't you go getting fat-headed gorgeous. Neither one of you is exactly what I'd call a mastermind. When you planted that match folder underneath the topcoat on the ferry boat, you both should have been more careful.
Huh. You think so?
You bet I think so. If I were planning a piece of evidence to incriminate Mr. Harold Hatcher, I would have left a cigarette lighter. I found one in the pocket of every suit he owns back there in his closet in the club. It wasn't hard to figure out that guy never carries a book of matches. What do you want? I'm only interested in one thing, saving the insurance company $2 million. And, Buster, I think you've done it for me.
Wait, look, Dollar.
This is insurance fraud. It has been ever since you put on that fake suicide attempt, trying to extort $500,000 out of the company for you and Janelle.
Wait a minute, Dollar.
So much for the company. Now, something a little more personal and a little more serious. Where is my girl?
Well, she's all right, Dollar. I couldn't help it. I had to get out of that apartment. She caught me leaving. I had to take her with me.
Where is she?
Well, I didn't mean to hurt her. I was afraid she'd yell.
Oh, you miserable...
I'll tell you where she is, Dollar. I put her in a cab and sent her to the emergency hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Dollar, please.
I give you the beating yell.
Harold.
Hatcher.
You had your fun, Dollar. Now I want mine.
How did you get here?
New York City, world's most efficient police force, remember? When they think maybe a guy's jumped off a ferry boat and nobody's seen him do it, they check the turnstile counters at each end. In the case of Brooks here, as many people got off that boat as got on.
Yeah, that makes sense. They'd hardly hold a guy for murder just because somebody else lost a topcoat.
How'd you know we were here?
You know me, Janelle. You never go any place that I don't know about. Okay, Brooks, you felt like explaining. Now I feel like listening. Get it up.
I don't know what you mean.
I know what you mean, Hatcher. One, he gave you a big, fat $2 million motive for murder. And two, he did his best to make it look like you did murder him with that broken-down match cover plan on the ferry boat. Why? Well, they wanted to get rid of you and live happily ever after. The big mistake they made was in trying to shake the insurance company down for some ready cash.
And you, baby.
Harold,
you
please.
put him up to it, didn't you, you cheap little muscler?
No, Harold.
Calm down, Hatcher. You don't need a gun around here. They're tame.
You don't know me very well, Dollar. I'm going to teach all of you amateurs a lesson. How these things are really done. Come on, Brooks.
No, Hatcher. You can have everything I've got.
For a second, it looked like Hatcher was going to take everything. But I hadn't gone that far to see Brooks knocked off with me as a witness. Hey, maybe I wasn't going to be a witness. Maybe I was going to be a victim, too. When that thought hit me, that's when I flew across the room and hit Hatcher in a do-or-die flying tackle from behind. Oh. Hatcher went down shooting. I went down kicking, and a lucky boot knocked the gun out of his hand. I beat him to it and swung it straight into his skull. Half the people in the room were lying there bleeding. Brooks from a gunshot, Hatcher from the gun butt. Janelle and I both stood there panting. But believe me, not for each other. We stood that way until the police arrived.
Johnny, I hate being in the hospital. But I look awful.
Butter, honey, you look lovely in white.
This patch on my head? Johnny, they had to cut a big hunk of my hair off to put in the stitches. Oh, that awful man.
Well, if it'll make you feel any better, baby, that awful man got taken care of. He's upstairs in the same hospital.
Oh, Johnny, you didn't shoot
No,
him.
Butter, I didn't have to. Harold Hatcher saved me the trouble. They don't know yet whether Mr. Brooks is going to live or die, but it doesn't make much difference to me or to the insurance company. He signed a statement admitting attempted fraud.
Serves him right hitting a lady on the head. Oh, Johnny, what am I going to do? My hair will look awful. It'll take months for it to grow out.
Now, don't worry, Butter. I'll buy you something to cover it up. I know a guy over on Fifth Avenue who claims he makes something that looks prettier on a woman's head than her hair. Expense account, item 7. $640. Ladies' hats. To cover the lump on lady's head. Expense account, item 8. $20. Tip to nurse for reminding Butter on the hour every hour that accidents will happen. Expense account, item 9. $7. Mileage driving back to Hartford. Expense account total, $1,182.23. Which you may say, Mr. Farnsworth, is a lot of money for one man to spend in a day and a half. But you must bear in mind that the amount at stake was $2 million. And you know the price of steak these days. Signed, yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Listen in again next week when CBS brings you Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, with Charles Russell as Johnny.